I've eaten a lot of raccoon. Yes. The answer is yes. And I've eaten it. I've eaten it hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from hunting. And I have eaten raccoon. And yes, it's not uncommon at all. I'll tell you something that is one of my favorites is squirrel. And it's wonderful, and my mother could do a great job of it. And we all had our favorite pieces, and my dad and sister, I have one sibling, a sister, and they would fight over, not fight, but my mom and I, they were just, my sister and I as far as siblings, my mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh, man.
And delicious, seriously.
Delicious.
My dad loves cow
My
brain.
sister always got it, or my dad.
The fight over the brain. Jerry?
Oh, boy. Just say we fighting over squirrel brains. What's up, good people? It is time for me to do this shit. I don't know why I do this. You know, Lord help me. This is always crazy doing the Dan Selio show. I'm just wishing the season were over. I don't know that I can continue to do it. Regina Green. And Holly Pierce. Let me get this thing up. Pause. Let's see. My mic is working. My camera's working. Woohoo! Let's enter the studio.
And a good-looking guy, I guess. And
The hell?
he thinks that he gets talked about better because of that. I think that's what he meant.
Wow,
Yeah, I tweeted out. It was one of the
really
weirdest.
cringy. I'm literally
Really weird.
Okay.
I said it was one of the weirdest football takes I've ever read in my life.
This is
And,
a little
and,
cringy.
and then there's videos floating around of his actual wife sitting on a set with him, doing a
The hell are
show
you talking
with him, talking oohing and ahhing about Jalen Hurts and talking about if she could push his tush in the tush push. His wife next to him. And I'm like, oh,
Got
now I
some
know why.
Stone Cold
Now I
Fritz?
know why he's crying about Jalen Hurts' pretty privilege. That was a weird thing on ESPN.
Yeah,
No
I'm,
limit.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's
I
really
can't
an
believe you didn't.
analyst.
What do you live under a rock? That was all over social yesterday.
I,
No limit says.
hey,
you
wait a
guys-
minute, Xander. I try not to go into takes like that on good looks. I don't know, man.
I
Well,
listen.
we understand
weird,
why you're not
okay?
talking
Weird.
about good looks there.
No limit says, I think you guys underrate the Vikings defenses. They're really balanced on offense and defense. I like our chances, but that matchup would be close. What do you think? Yeah, I like it. I mean, Sam Darnold's a fucking pumpkin. Until he's not, I'm gonna call him one. Okay, he better win in the playoffs, just like Cilio wants Jalen to win in the playoffs, which he's done.
Yeah.
Darnold is a pumpkin. Until
Well,
further notice.
he hasn't been this year.
No, he hasn't. That's correct. He's been
And,
actually
and,
very
and
good.
by the way, to this point, he's actually outplayed Hurts.
Well, he's a different style, but yeah, he has. He's throwing the ball really well. Give him credit. It's
Dude,
Keith Johnson.
I can't believe they coached the shitness out. Hey, can you imagine this? Before I get Mark Holmes on at 40 here, Sam Darnold's outplayed Dak too. How you doing?
Better team.
Then again, Cooper Rush has outplayed Dak.
Team playing better.
Keith says,
Playing
Sills, we're 12 and
worse.
2. Who gives a F about Glazers sounding like CNN? Enjoy the ride. Put some respect on Sirianni's name.
Sirianni is a
Oh,
fucking
Lordy.
goofball. Look at this, man. Jay Glazer confirming with Big Sales that they had a soiree at Xander Hertz's house, and they were sitting there going, "Hey, you got to be a better leader, Jalen." That fell
Y'all
out.
owe us till 7. Come on, we have one dropout. No limit says we owe him till 7. There
I
will
know,
be the
we
night
had a
show
dropout
tonight. We'll have
today.
Sal
Oh,
Palantonio on tonight.
This
The
is-
night
this
show,
is not gonna be
6
fun.
to 7:15.
I might
we'll
have to
Sal
walk off of
Palantonio
this
on.
today.
We'll get John Kime
I
on. who covers the
literally may
Commanders,
have to
so that
just
should be
leave.
good. So we will be live till 7. No limit.
Mhm.
The Phillies Ace says, where is Sills? Contradicts himself when elite quarterbacks win Super Bowls. Are Jeff Hostetler, Nick Foles, Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer? Big Sills is confused. Wait,
Yeah,
Phillies
okay,
Ace, though. We
you're
don't
right.
want Jalen to be compared to those guys.
Hey, wait a minute. I like that take. So Jalen Hurts, Jeff Hostetler, Brad
Yes,
Johnson,
Phillies Ace.
Trent Dilfer, not a problem. Congratulations. You have just named him Brad Johnson. Congratulations.
You talked yourself into a corner. Look at you like Grinch Sills. You gave him a layup.
Look at that.
Sean
He's
Mims.
Jeff Haas. Jalen Hurts is Jeff Hostetler.
Sean says rather have wins instead of stats. Look at Burrow.
This is
Joe
so
Burrow's stats. Joe Burrow's actually been to 2 AFC championship games. He's been to a Super Bowl himself. And he's right now probably.
Yeah, but the point is that the elite quarterback's not the end all be all in terms of it doesn't fix everything. You got to have a good team too.
You got to have. I think you have a decent team.
Are the Bengals below decent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Defensively, but dude, I think them getting rid of Joe Mixon. I think they underestimated that run game, man. Ask Dallas how they feel about not having even the boy that they had there last year, man.
Tony Pollard.
That kid they had there last year may not have been a lot, but you know what he did do? He kind of made it where you had to kind of look at him.
Well, those quarterbacks all rode their defenses to wins. Maybe Hurts will do the same. Twiz says Sills jerks off and thanks himself.
Every day I know truth, justice, in the Big Sills way. And
Twizzler.
I love it when the people on the NFL on Fox validate what we say here on our show every day.
Fucking Twizzler. That's some funny shit, Twiz. Prince says, Xander, you better be careful having Sills behind you before he says, how you doing in your ear.
Well, I'll tell you what, Prince, if you and Xander keep watching a guy say that Jalen Hurts has pretty privilege, I don't know, bro. I don't watch videos like that. Hey, it's pretty privileges? What the fuck is that?
I'm waiting for you to start saying the same shit. You sound like Foxworth sometimes.
That guy, he's a really good quarterback. Why, Sills? Well, he looks great on GQ.
Own the Bonehead says, Green's a good look on you, Sills. Abe says, mailman, DoorDash, Uber driver. I don't care. Just win the game. Good stuff, Abe. Abe won our giveaway this morning on Birds 365. I gave away a fly
Lady
Saquon
Libro
fly shirt.
in the house.
Flexen says, Howie and the Hurts Vengers can't stop shit.
I don't know what he was really thinking there. So, I mean, look, I love Mark. I do. I just don't know what the hell he's talking about anymore with that guy. Hey, by the way, did you hear, before we can bring him in, did you hear Jerry Jones goes, hey, man, Mike Zimmer and Mike McCarthy have done really a great job.
They're going to be back.
Really
They're going to be back.
Like, if you're an Eagle fan, you're like, bring them back.
I mean, I don't really think
I
this
can
year's
see how this
year is Mike McCarthy's fault, is it?
No.
I don't think so. All right, I got to go. You have fun with Mark Holmes and Philly.500.
Oh, I'm sure he'll have
personnel
fun with me. I'm sure he'll have fun.
And he knows it too.
Jackass.
All right. Xander.
All right, goodbye.
Xander, you've got to do something for me here, though. You got to admit one thing.
All right. What
Jay
is it?
Glazer responding to the show and me pointing out, and I said that I 1,000% support you, Jay, in your reporting that they had to go to Jalen Hurts' house to tell him to be a better leader.
We'll see. They're 10
That's
and
the
0.
soundbite.
We're 10 and 0. We're 10 and 0 since that meeting.
No.
So-
I want you to admit that they went to the home and tell him to be a better leader.
Who cares if they did? What are you? Professionals hang out. Cool. All right. That's fine. Now, I'm excited for this. Philly's going to like this. Philly, look at what we're giving away. A Jerome Brown authentic here on the Selio Show. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that. We'll do that.
He's wearing one.
Oh, my gosh. That is epic. Philly's coming in the same jersey that I'm giving away. That is as good of a promo as you're going to get. All right, have a good segment.
Hey, wait, last thing here. You know what we're going to do for Mark Holmes? We're going to give a Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie. All right, I'll see.
I got it. That's called Lazy Smith, but hey, don't worry. No. I have a guy, 304, who constantly is telling me that Micah, why do you have such a problem telling Micah calling him a good player or a great player? I'm like, because he doesn't play the freaking run. Anyway, I love this segment. It's one of my favorite segments of the week. By the way, Mark Cuban has agreed to come on Thursday. Okay? So we're going to get Mark Cuban on Thursday. And now, without further ado, these guys are the warm-up act for Mark Cuban for tomorrow. And I have no idea what Mark Holmes talks about any longer. We'll read all your super chats. And Philly.500, boy, I'll tell you what, man, he's got a drama-filled football team with this Eagle team. Without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who covers the 3-win Dallas Cowboys, a 3 or 5 or 6 or something, I don't know. Mark Holmes and the legendary Philly.500. Here we go.
Oh, we're haymakers today, baby. What's happening?
Mark,
Six
What's
wins.
happening?
That's 6 wins to you, okay? You said we wouldn't get 5. We got 6. So, you're wrong about something at least, okay?
You got me. Philly, what is going on with your team? You got to have Jay Glazer report that, get this, hang on here. You got to have BG and Suge Knight, Big Dom, go over to Jalen Hurts' house to be a better leader? I mean, what's going on with your Eagles? It's one week, it's another thing.
Sure, I'm sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Oh, you got to go over and talk to Jalen Hurts because he can't talk to other players. I don't believe it. What I've come to realize is that it's either Jalen Hurts, he's successful because of everybody else and what everybody else did, or Jalen Hurts, he's the reason for all the problems in the world. At this point, it's ridiculous. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I flat out don't believe it happened.
Here's what happened on my Twitter page. I posted this. I said, so the Eagles, Brandon Graham and Big Dom went to Jalen Hurts' house during the bye and said, you had to be a better leader and connect with the team. Then I said, I 1,000% believe the NFL on Fox is Jay Glazer. He's been on the program. I know him well. I said this is an Eagles Bob Lang trying to clean this thing up again and make the players backtrack. And, of course, Jay Glazer, out of nowhere from the NFL on Fox, liked the tweet that I had and said that, hey, I back him because I know him 20 years. Brandon Graham actually blocked me today, and I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. But here at the end of the day, so what if he said it? They're 10 wins in a row, and they're 12-2, and they wanted him to connect. What's the problem?
I don't think there's a problem, except for that it probably didn't happen. It didn't happen. So, it just gets ridiculous. So look at every week. Every week it's something new. Right? If Jalen Hurts plays bad or the Eagles have a tough game like the Carolina game, it's all Jalen Hurts' fault. If he has a good game, it's everybody else. Can't we just say that this guy isn't the perfect quarterback, but he's a very good quarterback that can win games? And that's what he does. I love hearing you talk about consistency now. Well, consistency is one thing that you can say with Jalen Hurts is he wins. He consistently wins.
But wait a minute. He hasn't been consistent this year playing quarterback position.
What do you mean? What are they, 12-2?
They're 28th in passing.
Okay, but you don't have to. He doesn't have to throw for 400 yards.
So
when you have a guy having an
passing offense. So you're saying they don't need a passing offense consistency to be able to win the Super Bowl.
What I'm saying is that the games that they've played this year, they haven't had to use him to throw 40 times a game. It hasn't had to happen. Now, will it have to happen at some point in the playoffs? Probably at some point it will. Did it have to happen versus Pittsburgh? Yeah. But when it did happen. But, I mean, we sit there and people literally hold it against them that Barkley is having a ridiculous year, and he only has to throw 20 or 30 times. Who would you rather be? The Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals? I would take Jalen Hurts any day of the week. Jalen Hurts was 10-1 last year. The year before that, he was in the Super Bowl. This year, he's 12-2. I mean, at what point are we going to stop, like, every single thing this guy does is life or death. You know what I mean? And Mark, he can't talk about this because Dak is not included in something like this because Dak has proven he can't win in the playoffs. He has never been to a Super Bowl.
But let's go to Mark here. Mark, but the one thing you can comment on is that the most scrutinized and the most ridiculed player in pro football is Prescott.
Without a doubt. I'm going to say that
you don't think the Dallas Cowboys are the most watched and most criticized?
No, wait, hold on. Philly.500.
Dak Prescott is the most forgive quarterback who can't win big games. I have never in the life.
Hold on, he was talking to me, Philly.
I've never seen a quarterback.
It was my turn to speak, son.
No, it wasn't. He talked to me.
He asked me a question. He asked me about a question, Philly. No. Philly. No, he asked me a question, and you didn't give me a chance to even answer it. No.
He didn't ask you a question.
He did ask me a question. He turned to me and asked me a question, and I started to say something, and I was like, "What is that?" It was your raggedy ass voice in my ear. I'm like, I could have sworn he asked me a question, and I was going to answer said question, and I was going to ask you a question. Shut the fuck up, man. Just shut up. Just stop blowing. Your mouth is moving, but you ain't saying shit, man. You ain't saying shit.
Yes, I am, and it's loud.
Oh my! Laughable is right because that shit that's coming out your mouth. Are you one of those Eagle fans that are eating horse shit? Because that horse shit is just flowing. It's flowing out. You are so hypocritical, bro. You are so hypocritical. You are literally defending Hurts with the same thing that you blame on Dak.
You have a 3rd and 30 shirt on for a game in a regular season against the Eagles. Are your quarterback? Yeah. You would make a 3rd and 30 shirt.
Yes.
You can't criticize him for the playoffs.
It was made several years ago.
Pick six?
Bro, it's so funny. It's so funny that you are sitting here literally saying, well, Jalen Hurts gets all the blame when we lose and gets no credit when we win. Isn't that exactly what you always do with Dak Prescott? Oh, my God. It is too. It is too. Run the tape back. Run the tape back, please. Please run the tape back. You are so hypocritical. You don't even know the stupid shit that comes out your mouth, bro. You don't know the stupid shit that comes out your mouth.
He doesn't even win in the playoffs. He has no reason.
I get it. But you know what? I would love it if my quarterback had the opportunity that yours has, that he only has to be, 29th in the NFL in passing, that you got a great running game and a great offensive line. Explain to me when I've actually had that with my quarterback, bro. And a great defense. You literally have everything that a handicapped player needs on your team. A great running game.
Right.
A great offensive line, great receivers. Okay, he should be lighting up with the running game that you guys have. Okay, I mean literally, with the running game and offensive linemen that you have, and A.J. Brown one-on-one and Devontae Smith one-on-one, every freaking pass should be a fucking touchdown if he was as good as you. But to be 29th in the NFL, 29th? You're telling me that's the best you can do with that passing game with Kellen Moore, who's the genius. Get the fuck out of here, man. I can't wait to see you arrogant-ass mother humpers that have been living on my channel swearing that you're going to have a blowout in the Super Bowl come back down to earth.
Literally has 2 wins in the playoffs, and you want to talk about excuses?
I'm sorry. Wait. How many does yours have? Hold on. Wait. How many wins in the playoffs does your quarterback have?
Yeah, but how many?
But how many? How many? What? I can't hear you.
How many years? How many more years?
I believe your quarterback has 2 as well.
He does. Why?
On a great team.
For you.
On a great team. Okay? He is literally like special ed. He's like special ed. Okay? He's getting like extra tutors and everything else that are propping his ass up, bro.
Wait, Mark.
Mike, 2 wins. But
all right, listen.
Oh my God.
30 shirt.
Listen.
Hey, I want a 30.
Now I'll ask you, for a man who has seen his quarterback criticized, what's your takeaway on how the criticism with Hurts this year has been, I mean, last week it was AJ. This week now you have a national guy in Jay Glazer saying that they wanted him to be a better leader. And by the way, but to Philly's point, Sills, at the end of the day, they're 12-2. They went on a 10-game win streak. So at the end, I mean, who in the end really fucking gives a shit if it's a winning proposition here? But from a guy who has a guy who I do believe is the number one criticized quarterback in the NFL.
Prescott's
how
not?
How do you look at it as
Oh,
Cowboy
my God.
fan?
I was trying to say that exactly what Philly.500 was saying. You might as well call him Jalen Prescott because literally that's how he's getting treated. That's how Prescott gets treated all the time. It's never, he can throw 450 yards, we get a win, and it was, everybody else played well. And it's like he doesn't get any credit when they win. And when they lose, even now, he's not even on the field, he gets blamed and trashed. It's just, you're in a no-win situation when you're quarterback. The Eagles, as much as you hate us Cowboys, my God, you guys are turning into us. You are filled with drama just like us now on a regular basis. Don't.
So what did you mean by the comment?
Are you finished saying what you have to say?
Good, Philly.
Done? Can I talk?
Philly.
All right.
No, you can't. Shut the fuck up.
I knew this mother humper was going to come here and try to pin and say, I said it was going to be Jalen Prescott. I already knew it. I'm 3 steps ahead of him. That's why I said something. Here's the thing. Dak Prescott doesn't win big games. All right, we're talking about
the Cowboys don't win big games.
Literally makes excuses for the quarterback that doesn't win in the playoffs. Do you think Dak Prescott, 2 wins, 9 years in his career, would ever survive Philly? And
so let me ask you.
No,
has Dak Prescott ever had a complete team and roster like yours?
Yes, he did.
Did he? Wait.
How many times?
Did they have one like that last year?
No.
As good as the Eagles?
As good as the Eagles last year?
Yes.
You just won 12 games 3 straight years, did you not?
Yeah, but do you?
And how many wins do you come up?
Okay, so let's go through this. Hold on. So are we saying it's a team that overachieved or underachieved? When you looked at the amount of talent going down last year, you guys truly had more talent than this team did. Right or wrong? Right or wrong? Last year.
We collapsed the historical
okay, but then you underperformed. You underperformed with the talent you had.
Yeah.
Okay. If a team can underperform with the talent that they have, can they also overperform with the talent that they had?
Yeah.
Because I can look at it right now. If you go down the line and you literally look at last week where we had 7 guys on offense that were undrafted players playing, you look at that and what these guys are playing, they actually overperform for what you expect to get from them.
But that's great.
And that's generally speaking, you have to look at the Dallas Cowboys that literally are picking up guys off the couch at the end of training camp and plugging them in, that more times than not, they actually overperform for what you expect them to be. They're not a team that has been loaded like a San Francisco or an Eagles that have gone out and gotten players in free agency.
Mark, what did you mean?
We call that revisionist history.
It's not revisionist history. I go into every season and say, we got a hole at linebacker we need to fix. We need a better running game.
You're ignoring the first 5 years when every year the Dallas Cowboys had probably top 2 roster in the league.
No.
Everybody knew it.
Not on the defense, bro. Not on the defense.
You can't talk about overachieving.
Not on the defense. They did not, bro.
Your team doesn't overachieve.
They've had great offenses, but they've never had that defense until recently.
Mike Nolan never had great talent when he was the coordinator on that defense. Remember the Cleveland game? You guys gave up almost 300 yards in rushing. So I'll concede
points
to this that your defense hasn't been at the same level the offensive has on the roster. But you made a comment. You made a comment, Mark. Why did you what and I get what you're meaning of. Obviously, you're not insulting anybody, but when you said it's a handicapped quarterback because of the roster, what did you mean by that when you said they have? Are you suggesting they have to build the roster up because the quarterback is handicapped in many ways?
Here's what they always Here's what they always say about Dak Prescott. Well, he's got to have elite talent around him to win. And I dare say pretty much most quarterbacks do. And if I look around at your offense, they got elite talent around them, right or wrong. Do you
Everywhere.
think everywhere? Do you think
they do.
Okay, if you take Saquon out of there, is Jalen Hurts going to get you to the Super Bowl?
You could.
No. So when I say, and I'm sorry, it's probably not politically correct for me to say that he's handicapped. I didn't mean, maybe that was a poor church choice of words, but you can't look and say Jalen Hurts, it doesn't matter what team he goes to, they're going to be great. You have an incredible roster that stayed healthy. Okay, and that helps the team. You can look at Cooper Rush right now, and people say, well, Cooper Rush is playing great. He's playing great because Rico has gotten 392 yards in the last 3 weeks. When you have a running game, when you have a running game,
trying to say that Jalen Hurts is overachieving, or he's just good because
he doesn't have to. Listen, he just has to be average with everything that you have.
He just has to be average,
bro. You have to put 8 men in the box consistently because of Saquon. If you have one, you have not only one good wide receiver, you've got two. If you're telling me I've got two really good wide receivers there, and I've got to put 8 men in the box, I've got the advantage for my quarterback. I've got one good receiver, CeeDee Lamb. He's getting double covered every single time. And until the last month, we didn't have a running game. We're putting Dalvin Cook out there and Zeke, Father Time as a running game, and we're running the ball 50 yards. You can't expect a quarterback to succeed without a running game. Your team is incredible. I'm giving you that. I concede that. Shout out to Howie for getting all these pieces and going out in free agency. I wish my team would do that. I don't have any of those pieces. And it's hard to say, well, we just suck. Well, yeah, we suck because we don't have the players.
I would say this to you, Mark. I would make the comment that you're right in this aspect here, because I was going to ask Philly. It looks like we're a little bit here where he froze up. We'll get it back on here in a second, but I'll make this comment to you again here, and I'll say this one more time about the roster that they've built this year. I mean, I wouldn't say Jalen Hurts has had a great season when all year long they're ranked 28th in passing, and all of a sudden they have a good game again. You know what the new narrative now in Philly is with the fans?
What's that?
Well, they could do this anytime they felt like it. I don't believe that.
Football is a game of matchups, too.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, but also, too, football is a game of matchups, as you know. Some weeks you have favorable matchups that might lead you to being great running the football and great throwing the football. And sometimes that's a narrative that happens.
Let me ask him this. Mark, let me ask him this. Give me a letter grade on how well you think he's performed in the passing game this year, from the Green Bay game all the way to the Steeler game, Philly, on how well you think he's performed in that level with the passing game, which, by the way, is still ranked 28th.
C+ to B-.
Okay, why would you go B-? What leads you to believe that they can do? So you're under the belief, like Xander, then, that they could do this anytime they want.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can throw the ball and move the ball through the air if they want to. I don't believe that they're doing it because they can't, and so they're relying on the idea that because Barkley's on the team and Jalen Hurts is deficient at passing, so therefore they have to run Barkley a lot, is not what I believe. I believe quite the opposite. I believe that Barkley's having a great year, and if they needed to pass, they could pass. I believe they can beat you through the run. I believe they can beat you through the air. It's just that they're so dominant running the ball, there's no need to throw 30 times a game, 40 times a game. Why do it?
Let me ask you this then, Mark. So with Philly's notion there and his premise, that's like putting CeeDee Lamb in a closet, because if you're more dominant in the running attack, you're not going to use CeeDee Lamb, or you're not going to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb or somebody else. So under what Philly's saying is this: for 10 weeks, they decided not to throw the football at all, basically, in any kind of rhythm. And it went all the way down last week to 31st. Now it's up again with one performance to 28th, and they haven't been consistent. Those are trends. They're not just numbers. Yeah. So his notion is that they're going to put the two best wide receivers of the top 15. I could say AJ's probably third. So they're not going to use them at all unless they need it. because Barkley's having such a good season. Or I'll give you this. Hang on here, Philly. Watch this. Baltimore is first in passing. Baltimore is third in rushing. The Detroit Lions are second in passing, and they're third in passing. How come those two teams can do that on a daily basis and a weekly basis, but the Eagles are here and here? They're one-dimensional in 1 week or the other. He's saying this, well, we need it, we'll go here, we'll go here. Baltimore, Detroit and the Ravens do it on a consistent basis. Now, again, to his point, they have won 10 in a row. Wait a minute now. Their philosophy may be a little different than, say, Detroit's and Baltimore's, because they're 10 wins in a row and they're 12-2. That just may be their formula for figuring it out. How do you look at that?
Me or him?
You, Philly.
Okay, we want to make sure we let Mark talk. Here's the thing. The way I see it is this. You're right. Those other teams have done it more balanced. And I think the Eagles started to get away from it in the past month. And maybe to the detriment of them, they started to get away from it a little too much. And that's why you had guys speak up about it. And they kind of refocused and recame into the game versus Pittsburgh. And you saw what they do. To me, it wasn't like they couldn't ever do it. It was that they weren't doing it. Was that smart? No, maybe not. But that's what they were doing. Hopefully, going forward towards the end of the season, they find a little more balance. But they never, ever were in a position where Jalen Hurts couldn't throw the football. That never was, in my opinion, a real problem.
What's your takeaway on that, Mark?
I think back to the 2014 Cowboys season, probably the team that should have been to the NFC Championship had it not been for the catch, no catch. We had DeMarco Murray, a guy you guys are familiar with, who rushed for over 1,800 yards. And it was, yards-wise, one of the least years for Tony Romo, but he had 37 TDs. And statistically was one of the best ones. And that was a great balanced offense. I just feel like you are too heavy run of a team. And when you look at the playoffs, typically, be it the Tennessee Titans, be it the Minnesota Vikings, teams that are really that dominant on the running game have not been really successful deep in the playoffs. And I'll dare say even the Baltimore Ravens in that one.
Usually you have to have a good defense to have a good running game kind of combined. I'll say this. You play outside in the NFC East or in the NFC Conference and you're playing outside in cold weather in January, you're damn right running the ball is important. And you better be able to do it. And that's why passing numbers always come way down in the playoffs. Because I think you have to be a little more physical of a team, in the playoffs. So I don't think the style in which the Eagles play with I think it's built for the playoffs. But I'm not saying that they became a little too run heavy at times for the last 3-4 weeks. However, when they showed they had to go out and throw the ball against a really good Pittsburgh Steelers defense, they had no problem doing it.
Let me throw this at you, Mark.
But before you get too happy about the Steelers, remember the Cowboys even beat them.
Cleveland beat them.
We beat them too. I'm just saying.
The Dallas Cowboys, come on, dude.
I'm just saying. Listen, you're acting like they are
we
the
can't
Kansas
even acknowledge
City,
the
Kansas
first
City
half
Chiefs.
of Dak Prescott's career. Why am I going to acknowledge week 2 when Dallas got lucky and beat them?
It wasn't week 2.
Well, week 3 was it? Week 3? Okay, week 3. I was 1 week off. So sue me
down the road from there.
Come on, man. You got to acknowledge Dak Prescott's first half of his career
Mark,
for me to acknowledge that.
Mark, let me ask you this. Explain to me, and I won't even use Detroit. I'm going to use Minnesota here. And you tell me what Philly has done more than what Minnesota has done when, quite frankly, they've given up only 252 points themselves, where the Eagles have given up 247. Brian Flores, by the way, Sam Darnold has been consistent all year long, more so has had a better season than Jalen.
More balanced.
He's had a better season. It's look across the board. He's got 35 touchdowns. And by the way, Philly, did they know he's won 12 games too?
Yeah.
What's what?
with
What
a
is
tou-
And, what,
with a tougher
what's
division.
Big Sill's big word that you like to use when we talk about one season? Consistency.
Wait, I think he's been consistent all year long.
He has the whole team has, and maybe it's a change of coaching and change of quarterback. Kirk Cousins just got benched today, and so you look at this and say, well, maybe Minnesota is not as bad as we think. Thinking that they have to play Green Bay and Detroit in that division, they are battle tested. The schedule that the Eagles have had this season has not necessarily been that tough, so we don't really know. He's the Steelers, up and down team. Russell Wilson still is, reclamation project. I don't know what teams the Steelers are.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. You know what? I'm going to defend him on this. You play Lamar. You got Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
You're playing against a good quarterback in Joe Burrow. The Commanders are not an awful team. They're a 9-5 football team. So I am going to sit there and kind of defend the process a little bit. That, again, too, they had Green Bay at the beginning of the season. They did a nice job against Green Bay. So, I mean, they have played a bunch of pretty good guys here. Tell Philly we can't see him right now, too, so we can't see him. So, again, the Viking defense, dude, I think the Viking defense is scary. So I'll ask you, in your opinion, who's the best team in the NFC right now? Lions, Eagles, or the Vikings?
The Lions scare me. They take too many damn chances, sometimes when it's not really warranted. But, it's an NFL. It's a week-to-week league. The Lions didn't look great last week. They may go on a fire, on a big run on the end. I would say I wouldn't sleep on anybody right now, be it Green Bay, be it Minnesota, or be it the Lions, or even the Eagles. But if I had to say, I still believe that the Lions will be the one in the end.
Well, I would make this point here. They've got a couple real good wins to themselves, to the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they've beaten Houston, who's a playoff football team themselves. There, I mean, I think if there's one team in the NFC that's kind of wild, I think it is that Vikings team. Now, let me go to you here. What did you make of the comments that Mike McCarthy and Mike Zimmer, Jerry Jones has been pretty excited about the fact that, he thinks those guys have done a pretty good job this year. And would you be shocked if they extend both guys?
I was saying to people before it was cool, don't be surprised if Mike McCarthy comes back. I said that long ago when people rolled their eyes. But it's kind of crazy that Jerry Jones went on this whole tangent that losing to Green Bay was, that was it. He was pissed off. And now we have a team that's been a complete disaster, and we're saying, oh, they're doing a good job. Doesn't that seem kind of crazy to you? I mean, literally. Now we're like, moral victories. Now, I get it. If there's anything positive about it, is they don't look and say it's solely Mike McCarthy's fault. They have to look at it and say we are partially to blame, and maybe that's the awakening that will change what they do in the offseason. But at the moment, until they show me differently, I think the Cowboys are going to do what they do. They're going to look at this and say, we had 7 guys on the field that weren't drafted. We know what we're doing here. If we had had Dak and if we had had Zach Martin and some of the other players that we lost, we would have been a good team. So let's keep the course going right here. But the reality is I don't know.
I'm going to say something that the Cowboys missed the boat this year, and I'll tell you why. Okay? They missed the boat this year because the NFC doesn't really have but 2 teams that are really good. I mean, Green Bay is decent and they're good. Minnesota, I have no idea what they're going to look like in the postseason. And I think to Philly's point, I don't know what Sam Darnold's going to look like in the postseason because I rarely have seen Sam Darnold in a regular season. Okay, but you had a chance this year. You could have won 10 ball games, Mark, and made yourself a player and got to the NFC title game this year. But because of the incompetence that the Cowboys had in their personnel department, this is a total front office disaster. This season isn't on Mike McCarthy. It's not on any of those guys. It's totally on the square shoulders of Jerry Jones on why this football team is in the position. My question would be, though, is why did they just throw up the white flag and try to go for the best draft position they could possibly get? Because currently right now what you're doing is not going to work.
Well, the reality is even if we had lost this past week, about the best you're going to be would have been ninth, and the worst you're going to be is 14th. So I don't think we're playing Tampa Bay. That's got something to play for. We're playing you, and then we're playing Washington. I don't know that we win that many more games going down through. Maybe we get lucky and win one or two of them. But either way, you're still going to be drafting, whether you win or lose, probably around 14th. And so I think Jerry Jones, of course, wanting to stay relevant, drafting high doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a great player. How many times have the Giants drafted in the top 10? And look at them. We got Mike at 12.
Or the Jags.
Yeah, we got Micah at 12. We ended up getting Tyler Smith at 26. So,
you got Jack in the 4th.
Right. And so, you look at this and say, at least this draft, the Cowboys will be able to draft a top player at a position of need. It'll be basically the best player available. And there will be some really good players that can fall in the first round to, 12 to 14.
So let me ask you this then. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you got Tampa Bay, and it's in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Let me say this to you.
God. It's been horrible in Dallas.
Baker Mayfield was just named the NFC Player of the Week.
Yep.
And they just got through beating in Los Angeles, the Chargers. They went in there, and Mayfield threw for 4 touchdowns in there. I'll tell you what. I mean, you talk about I'll tell you about a guy who owns the Eagles. It's Baker Mayfield.
Without a doubt.
Beat the shit out of him in the postseason. Beat the shit out of him this year, and he's 2-1 versus Hurts. I mean, I can't believe the job that he has done. He has been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC the last 2 years. He's going to throw for 42 touchdowns this year.
Unbelievable. Now, here's the good thing, at least, because, see, if you listen to the statistics, they're going to tell you that Rico has 392 yards, the most yards in the last 4 games in the NFL. They're going to tell you that the Cowboys' defense has had more sacks in the last 4 games and stuff. This is a good measuring stick because reality is you really only played of that span Joe Burrow and the Commanders. I can't say the Giants are any good, and I can't say Carolina's any good. At least this is an opportunity to see, has Mike Zimmer actually made some hay, be it he doesn't have the studs that he would like to have because we have so many injuries and things. But this will be a good measuring stick to say, okay, here's where we need to go this year in the draft to try and really build.
I see people going like this already, that Mayfield's got and will be on trade pack for 14 interceptions or whatever. He's throwing the ball 463 times. He's almost throwing the ball 500 times. And Hurts is throwing the ball 350 times. I mean, you're obviously, not looking at the scenario where that guy's being leaned on more. Okay, Philly power went out. Okay, so looks like Philly.500 is not going to be able to come back.
Oh, Philly.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to tell you, the Philly power going out is like their passing game. Okay? It's like their passing game. 1 week it's here, 1 week it's not.
Jalen Hurts electric.
Wait a minute. We got Philly power.
Jalen Hurts electric company.
His buddy Newsom's got rolling blackouts over here, I think. So my power just went out because I was kicking his ass. He comes out, his buddy. Shit. That's who Mark wants. Newsom got there rolling blackouts. He ain't getting off the hook today.
I can't stand that guy.
Hey, look, I'm sorry if I got heated earlier, about the whole interrupted, but you won't let me finish my sentence. I'm just saying.
But he did ask me a question, and I was trying to. But
I was in the middle of trying to finish, and you could have took over. But here's what I gotta say.
Your poor wife.
Here's the problem I have. Here's the problem. Oh, yeah, look. You ain't gonna get no sympathy. Yeah.
Honey, I was just trying to finish.
By the way,
like I said, I'm sorry if I.
Hey, Philly. By the way, man, that fucking jersey's dope. That's the one we're giving away.
Yeah, baby.
On the show here, man. That Jerome Brown jersey, man.
You know how I got into Jerome Brown? Actually, the Hurricanes. My cousin was a huge Miami Hurricanes fan back in the day. I didn't even watch college. So he wanted this guy, Jerome Brown. So he's like, come on, watch this guy. And I used to watch, real young, watched all the football games. So I saw Big Sills back then with my cousin. He was a big Hurricane fan. I became a Hurricane fan because of him.
Well, let me throw this at you here too. Let me give you how Jerome Brown, real quick here. By the way, Jerome almost became a Cowboy too, just so you know, because they tried making a trade for him when a couple of years after the fact. Well, let me tell you how he did it. So we were down there together, and by the way, so you know, Philly, Buddy Ryan came down and coached me when he first year in 1986. He came down, and Jimmy and him used to be really great friends. They came down and coached Jerome and me and the defensive line. He did it for 2 years in a row. So Norman Brayman, who used to own the Eagles, came over, and he's still alive. He owns the biggest Cadillac dealership in the country. We knew his junior year. Brayman looked at him and said, if you're available, I'm going to draft you. We knew it. He was going to be an Eagle, and that's why he was hanging around, and that's why Buddy loved him. So when the Eagles had the 9th pick in 87, he knew right then, we all knew right then and there that it was a no-brainer. It was a year and removed that they wanted to put somebody next to Reggie White, and they wanted to put Jerome Brown next to him. So he was earmarked a whole year and a half in advance that he pretty much knew unless something happened, he was going to be a Philadelphia Eagle.
I love it. That's awesome. Great player, man.
Billy, what team are you more concerned about? Couple last one here for both of you here. What team are you more concerned about heading down the stretch here? Because I got to tell you, you want to hear something too, Mark? The Philadelphia Eagles could be a 15-2 football team and be a wild card team. And here's how.
We can't be a wild card.
Not a wild card team. They can't not get home field. My bad.
Yeah.
Home field. Okay? They'd be still in the 2-hole. But what they would have is this, because if Minnesota wins out and Detroit wins out to the last game of the year, they're playing against one another, and that will dictate home field advantage. So the Eagles could be in the 2-hole. Obviously, they wouldn't get the bye and they wouldn't host home field. Of all those teams, Philly, Detroit and Minnesota, I don't know Green Bay. I don't believe they can rally and catch them. They still play Minnesota yet, but I don't think they can catch unless Detroit fumbles again. What team worries you the most, Detroit or Minnesota?
If we have to play the NFC Championship game on the road, Detroit would scare me more, even though their defense is weak.
In the Dome.
I just think in the Dome, they've never held a championship game. I think it'd be one of those electric atmospheres for them. So, I still think we could beat both those teams. I think Minnesota has has an ability to collapse, and I don't buy their quarterback. I'm still not buying in. But I'll tell you this, Souls, if we get home field advantage, the team that would scare me the most is Green Bay, because they're built to play outside. These other teams are not built to play outside. So, to me, if we get home field somehow, I would say Green Bay. If not, Detroit.
What do you think, Mark? I mean, if all those teams to give Philadelphia a challenge, what would be the team? Detroit, Minnesota, or Green Bay?
I will say, having been in Detroit for 12 Thanksgivings, because my wife worked for United Way and they always did the halftime show, those fans, if they were in an NFC Championship game in Detroit, that place would be crazy. And so I wouldn't want to be anybody playing against Detroit in Detroit. But I think you have a great point about Green Bay being a good team to play, being able to play in the cold if they have to go to Philadelphia. You just don't know. It's just who gets the hot hand in the end. And it's still way too far to tell. There's still 3 games left. You don't know who's going to get injured, and you don't know who's going to come back. So, yeah, I would say Detroit is where you would not want to play.
Here's the one thing, Philly, that you always have to remember. I mean, like you said, you're not buying Sam Darnold. I'm sure a lot of people weren't buying the Eagles in 17 when they lost Wentz either. And they weren't buying it when they lost Trey. I mean, not Trey, but the left tackle. They lost a linebacker. They lost another guard. You basically beat the Patriots with a backup team in 17. Yeah. And, I mean, so when you look at Darnold has had basically a Nick Foles season where Nick had a 3-game stretch. And I'm with you. How is that? I mean, I've barely seen him in the regular season. I just told Mark, I don't know what he's going to look like in the postseason. I have no idea what that guy's going to look like. But I'll tell you what, that Kevin O'Connell guy, man, He's done the coach of the year job with a backup quarterback. They've won 12 ball games. They're 12-2, and they got a shot at home field advantage. It's one whale of a job. I mean, and your point is right. If Detroit gets home field, you got to go to the Dome. Think of this, Mark. How many Dome teams can you name that have won Super Bowls? The Colts, the Saints, and who else?
Good point.
Colts and the Saints and the Rams, the St. Louis Rams.
The Rams. I tell you what, I would really worry about. As much as you guys talk about how much the Cowboys choke in playoffs, one of those guys that was calling plays for the Cowboys when they were choking is calling plays for you guys.
Yeah, but the problem is we know better than to blame him. We know that the blame should be right where it should be with that quarterback, because the quarterback did the same thing when you took Kellen Moore out of the equation. What did Dak Prescott go and do? Goes out, back to pass, pick six. There you go, blow it open. Green Bay goes into Dallas. Dallas becomes the second seed ever to lose to a 7 seed. So they lose as a Dak Prescott has won as a 1, lost as a 1 seed, lost as a 2nd seed, probably lost as a 3rd seed. The guys are you just got all I want Mark to do is accept that Dak Prescott is still not shown he can win a big game. That's all I want him to say, Skills, and I'll back up. I'll back off.
You know how this season could really be salvaged for me is to see you guys in the playoffs, the game on the line, and Kellen Moore calls a boneheaded play, and it costs you the season.
Mark, let me ask you this last one, and then I'll throw it to Philly for his last question. Let me ask you this. If this football team, if the Eagles end up 15-2, they have home field advantage, and in the last 3 years there would have been a 14-3 team, and they would have had 2 potential Super Bowl rosters. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, will this be the biggest disappointment in Philadelphia Eagle history if a 15-2 team – remember? Do you remember that Vikings team that went 15-1?
Oh, yes.
That went 15-1 and got beat in the playoffs in the NFC title game by Atlanta. The Culpepper team, I think it was.
You got to put yourself up there.
Either Culpepper or Randall, I forget. It was one of those guys that was the quarterback of that team. Would this be the biggest meltdown in their franchise history if they don't win the Super Bowl?
I've already gone. The way the Eagle trolls are hitting me and all that, if you don't only win and it's not a blowout, I'm sorry, it's a disappointment. I'm serious. The amount of you guys 2 weeks ago, you guys were talking about the Super Bowl.
Really,
2 weeks ago, you started talking about it.
He wants you to win it. He wants you to blow him out.
But I'll take them kneeling down and fumbling on us getting the ball. I just want to win by 1 point. This guy's talking about blowouts. Yet Dak Prescott gets off the hook. See what I'm saying, Sills?
Okay.
Could you imagine if Mark Holmes held Dak Prescott to the same standard as my Philadelphia Eagles?
You does have a point.
Why am I here?
You want to blow? Hey, dude, I'd take a Super Bowl win 51-50.
I would too.
I mean, you want them to, dude. You're just right now. You're in misery, man, and I feel.
I got an owner talking about eating squirrel brains, bro. Squirrel brains.
Well, shit. You're out there in Davy Crockett. You live in Davy Crockett's house now in Virginia, don't you, or some shit like that? You're out back.
I'm not eating squirrel brains, though. Bro.
Hey, Philly, isn't that right? He's got like rabbit traps and he's eating squirrel hunts back there or some shit, right?
I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know what those people do.
Those people, okay.
Hey, so, Philly, you win this weekend, right, against the Commanders?
Yeah.
Blow them out?
I think tough game till the fourth quarter.
Give me a feeling. 30 to 30, 20?
27-17.
27-17.
I see it like a 2017 game, early fourth quarter. Eagles wear them down and win.
Philly, and I'll ask you before I ask Mark, what do you think the Bucks do on Sunday to the Cowboys? Mayfield just won the NFC Player of the Week.
Where's it at? In Tampa?
It's in Tampa. No, wait, is it?
No, it's in Dallas.
It's in Dallas.
I hope Dallas wins. I hope they win. I want Dallas to win.
Why?
I don't want because one, I want them to get a worse pick, and then I want Mark to think that he has some chance to make the playoffs. I want, there was nothing beautiful as watching the way they lost that game a couple weeks ago. Just like just the way they choked that is like I need Mark happy. Like I streamed the game. I got Mark on. He's just miserable. He's miserable. I need him happy, and I need him doing his 50 videos a day on the Cowboys are going to the playoffs, and they got a chance.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
And then all of a sudden, when it matters the most, they're gonna collapse. And I want the setup. So I hope Dallas wins.
God.
Philly, just to give you an update, Jalen Hurts addressed the Jay Glazer and said this. Jalen Hurts said the report that Brandon Graham and Dom came to his house earlier this season to encourage him to connect better with his team isn't true. Brandon Graham also refused to report on Instagram, just so you know. Hurts came out and said that it's not true.
It's every week. It's
you against the world, Philly.
Welcome
it really
to
is.
the Cowboys.
Oh, see, I don't accept that. I do not accept that.
That's
I don't
exactly.
accept it.
No, you're getting the Cowboys treatment.
Mark, you really
you
think
should
the first 4
you should embrace it, because that means you're becoming hated like the Dallas Cowboys. That you're relevant in the news. Okay,
we went through all of it years ago. We've already been there, done that.
Yeah, but the problem is nobody cared before.
I don't think you guys can talk because you don't go anywhere. You guys don't do anything in the playoffs.
But for some reason, they're still worth over $10 billion. I can't understand.
Well, that's because you got this guy eating squirrels. You know what I mean? Squirrel brain. That's why I say I don't know what that guy does.
Wait a minute, Mark.
I don't know what he does in the woods.
Before I get you out of here, you're not fucking throwing back at Philly. Well, we're a $10 billion team.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
That's not your retort.
Here's the problem. That is the problem with the Cowboys. No, listen. Think about it for a second. The Dallas Cowboys literally screwed the pooch to the point where you could have gotten tickets for a Snickers bar. And yet, they're still worth more money than they were last year and more money than everybody else and haven't done shit in over 30 years.
Mark, what's the dinner plate and the food plate going to be for Sunday against the Bucs?
I don't know, man. I have literally I just show up for the games now. There's no football parties. I just sit here at the Red Brick House, by myself, prepared to cry.
I like the Red Brick House, by the way. So, I like them old retros, man. I like that stuff. Hey, by the way, do you think the Commanders give them a game Sunday?
Well, here's the problem for us as Cowboy fans is if you win, it keeps our playoff hopes alive, as slim as they are. If you lose, then our playoff hopes are dead. That's the conundrum.
Mark's got to root for the Eagles.
No, I'm going to root for the Commanders. I don't have to. Listen, at this point,
you want.
Listen,
what did you want?
The Commanders aren't going anywhere. I'm not going to go. If we somehow luck into the playoffs, no. I just want to see you lose, man. Okay, that's all this season has gone to. I am a fan of anybody playing the Eagles, no matter how much it hurts me. I hate your team. I love you guys, but I hate your team.
We got one of the better Eagles teams I've ever seen.
That's why I need to see them lose, so I can say,
we can win this thing.
They choke.
We can win it.
Billy, let me sneak one in on you here. If you had to take the roster that you wanted to win a Super Bowl with, would you take the 17 roster, the 22 roster, or this roster? I'm not going to do the 04 one. Wait. Let's do the 04 one because you had Brian Dawkins, Westbrook. You had the best quarterback in the franchise's history in McNabb. You had Owens on that 04 team. You had John Runyon on that team. You had Trey Thomas on that team. You have Lito Shepherd on that team, that 04 team. So let's not do the 81, but let's do the 2004, the 2017, the 22, and the 2024 roster. What roster would you want to try to win a Super Bowl with?
See, I'll probably, it's just crazy, but I'm probably going to say I would put 2004 over 2017 and 2022 because I think they ran into the makings of the beginning of a dynasty, right? If they don't play a dynasty, but I think I would take this roster. I think from like a just most complete roster, I think this team is maybe the most complete I've seen in a long time. Now, defensively, they're really good, and I think they're better than 2017. But they're not. There's no way. They're nothing close to 91. It's not even close.
See, I look at the 24 roster, and I don't think you're better defensively than you are the 22 roster. Because here's why: you got 70 sacks. You were deeper. You're deeper at the tackle position. You don't have a Hassan Reddick. Believe it or not, you're probably better at linebacker. And you got to remember about your secondary. You were second in pass defense, and both guys made the Pro Bowl. Bradbury, and that's how Bradbury got that 3-year contract. And Slade made the All-Pro team. And Marcus Epps had 100 tackles. And by the way, let's not forget something else. Gardner Johnson led the NFL in interceptions that year. Yeah. So, I mean, that defense was a little bit more deeper to me than what you're seeing here, and you're not as good at the edge.
But the thing about this defense compared to that defense, and I don't disagree with you in some of those things. I think the secondary is better now. I like the nickel corner better than what we had then. I like the linebackers a lot better. And what I see with this team is they shut teams down. Yeah. I don't remember that team really shutting people down. I mean, Brady the Kansas City beat us offensively. I mean, I don't remember the defense winning games for us. Like, I feel like this defense has just completely shut people down. Teams don't score 20 points on this team.
Mark, isn't it great to talk about good football teams? Oh, I mean, a good football team.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, tell the folks where they can find you 30 for 30.
Come on, I'm all right.
Drunk in the gutter right now. Oh,
look at that I'm ready to get holy shit. Look at that, man.
This kitten's all worried what's going on.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, what's the name of the kitten there?
This kitten, we call it John McClane. This is John McClane from Die Hard. Okay. Jumps all over the place. It's Christmas. Call it McClane. These are Christmas kitties. So
that's a beautiful looking.
Appreciate it,
I have 3 kitties.
Do you?
Yeah.
My wife, she keeps letting them breed, so we'll keep having all these kittens.
We got everybody's a rescue. We got 3 rescue kittens and we got a rescue puppy. So I don't like telling people that because people usually think I eat animals and all that other shit. And all
I'm like Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Who knows what that guy does?
or I'm like Mark. I go out back and I shoot gophers and squirrels and shit. And then I have honey out of the trees, like he goes to Vermont and shit, and walks people across the street out of it.
New Jersey fishing, those just aren't the same kittens. My cat pumps them out, man.
Hey, have a happy game against the Buccaneers. Don't get killed too bad.
Thank you, my man. Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck
you for
with
putting
that.
up with me today. And I'm
See
sorry
you guys
I yelled
later,
at you,
man.
Mark.
Thank you so much. You guys are so wonderful, and I appreciate all your help, man. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Peace. You got it. That is Philly.500 and his kitten and the legendary Mark Holmes. I give Mark a lot of love, man. I got to tell you. I'll tell you what. He's a great content guy. He's giving me the one gun salute. He does a great job with his channel. Please make sure you check it out, man. All the great folks over there too with BetUS. We so appreciate it. By the way, speaking of Mark and BetUS and Philly.500 and BetUS, make sure you check out the website on all 3 of our places here. And we've teamed up here also with Jacob with our YouTube 150. So I just want you guys to know that too as well, that you get a sign-up bonus all the way up to 2K. You got to sit there and go on the website. You'll understand what I'm talking about. And your second and third are going to be sign-up bonuses of 125% all the way up to 2K. And if you're into crypto, make sure you end up going and putting that 200% down up to your 2K. And your sign-up bonus, go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. That's betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, Tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the Jacob Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily.
Oh, boy. That gets more and more painful every week. Jeez. Nothing like getting abused. Nothing like getting abused. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And, choke the chicken. Okay. Choke the chicken. Oh, boy. Yeah, at least that's over. All right, you good people. As always, I appreciate you. Logan Motorsport, I know you enjoy it. Yeah, you enjoy them just literally double teaming me and telling me how much I suck and how much my team sucks. But hey, that's how it is when you are a Cowboy fan these days. As always, I appreciate you all. Peace out.
I've eaten a lot of raccoon. Yes. The answer is yes. And I've eaten it hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from hunting. And I have eaten raccoon. And yes, it's not uncommon at all. I'll tell you something that is one of my favorites is squirrel. And it's wonderful, and my mother could do a great job of it. And we all had our favorite pieces, and my dad and sister, I have one sibling, a sister, and they would fight over, not fight, but my mom and I, they were just, my sister and I as four siblings, my mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh, man. Oh.
And delicious, seriously.
My dad loves cow
my
brain.
sister always got it, or